Hello and welcome to another edition of Mixed Mowers. Today is Trash Picked Mower Day. So I advertised on my local marketplace for an advert to say any dead lawn mowers that are no longer working or you don't need them, give me a message and I'll come pick them up for nothing. So I had a reply from a gentleman very local indeed saying he's got a lawn mower, it doesn't run, it's all complete, he said, just wants a bit of work to put it back together, and you can come and get it. So I went along and picked it up. He said some bloke even offered him money for it, so he didn't want money for it. If no one wants it, he's just going to throw it down the tip. So without further ado, let's get down and dirty. Let's see if we can't bring this old trash pick mower back to life and see if we can't get it up and running and turn it for a profit.
Do you feel the vibes?
And here is the lawnmower. It is a Crowcast Classic petrol 35S, the rotary type. I did say that my previous video I got one of these going, that it's not my cup of tea, but hey ho, it was free and it looks in really good condition. I'm not quite sure what's up with it. He hasn't had it running. He was given this lawnmower by another gentleman, and it was his intention to get it up and running. He said he did replace one or two of the cogs just down in here, down within this section, but that's as far as he's got with it. So I'm not quite sure how much work he's done to it, if he knows that there's anything missing or whatever, but it's in good nick. I have noticed that we have got some missing or some loose disconnected wires just down here. Some of the wires are not connected up. I've got to go through that. There's no spark plug on it. It did have a cover on the engine, so it was stored outside, so the top of the engine has been covered by a bit of plastic to protect from the rain, but I'm hoping there's no water inside. So all I've done so far to it literally is just put these two 10mm bolts in. That's all I have done to it. Apart from that, I want to put a spark plug in, or first of all I might just test for compression, because there's no point continuing with this engine if we haven't got compression. So let's get my compression kit and we'll get testing. Okay, so I've now got my compression testing kit. This is a Christmas present. Absolutely fantastic bit of kit. It just saves so much work rather than trying to diagnose engines. If there's no compression, the rings are gone, you may as well just strip it and out it, unless you want to get involved in changing the rings. We're looking for around about 30 psi on the gauge, so anything over 30 and that means good compression. If that wants to go into there. That's going. So just put it in loosely. Connect it up, put it to one side, and you want to pull this about 4 to 5 times. It'd help if it's connected. That's better. Five pulls. And we've got around about 50 bar pressure, 50 pounds of pressure, so that's fantastic. That tells me the engine is good. So next thing I want to do is put a spark plug in here, test for a spark, and then hopefully get some petrol down the head to see if it'll fire. So let me just grab my spark plug testing kit. Okay, so I've got a brand new spark plug and just some 2-stroke petrol. The reason I'm putting 2-stroke in is because I'm not quite sure how long this lawnmower has been sitting, so I just want to encourage just a little bit of oil inside the piston head there, cylinder head, just to make sure that they're nice and lubed up. So it's only a little tiny bit, it won't particularly hurt it. So a bit of fuel and a brand new spark plug. Hit my spark plug socket and just nick that up. Let's just see if I can get this lawnmower just to fire. Okay, so it's not firing, but these wires at the back may have something to do with it. So I'm just going to connect these wires at the back to see if that controls a solenoid or anything like that. Okay, so I now just connect those wires up. It's just one spade wire, and it looks like an earth. And I have also connected up the throttle cable on the carburetor as well, but it doesn't seem to be moving particularly well at the moment. So there's a bit of slack to be taken up in there. So I think that's choke on, possibly. Let's give it a pull, see what happens. Nothing. Give it a bit more petrol in there. Give it another couple of pulls. Okay, nothing. So let's now test for spark, see if we get a spark off this machine. Right, so I've got my spark plug tester, and that there simply just sits one end on top of the HT lead of a spark plug, and the other end goes into the HT lead there, and hopefully we can see this bulb light up. Let's see if we're getting a spark. Yeah, spark there. I don't know if you're getting that. Yeah, lovely spark. Okay. Okay, I'm now going to introduce some plain fuel. We've definitely got spark, we've got compression. So that's all good. Unless there's another reason why this engine isn't firing yet. But we've got some of the main components. I don't get too involved with this engine if it's no good, if it is actually destined for a tip. Right, let's go another couple of pulls. At all. There's plenty of vapour in there. There's actually some water in there as well. So let's just pull that with a spark plug off. Try and get some of that water out. Yeah, I can see water dancing on top of the cylinder head. Let's put a rag over top, try and catch some of that water. That's better. Let's try that again. Well, that fired. That definitely fired. Okay, so I only heard it fire once, which is a little bit concerning, but as I say, it did fire. I heard it, so and I'm getting a bit of smoke coming out of the exhaust. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take this air filter off, take the carburetor off and strip the carburetor down. Air filter's already out, doesn't look too bad. It wants a good clean, but that should be okay. I don't want to invest in it until I know it's running, as I say. So that's all going to come off. I'll give a carburetor a strip, give a tank a flush, put some new fuel in and see if that'll help. Okay, so it's looking like it's a 10mm, possibly an 8 to remove these. Yeah, get away with a 10. That will take the carburetor off. Just check the fuel first. There's a very small amount of fuel in there. Interesting to see what that looks like, to be fair. Say, I'm pretty sure I heard this fire, so hopefully we've got the engine's going to run. But we better have a working carburetor. It's a bit fiddly. Right, I've managed to get those nuts off. Let's try and remove this carburetor. So a bit lift up and tilt back or something on that line. Just to remove the linkage. It's quite fiddly. There it goes. I'll put linkage back on the arm. Don't really want to lose that. Sorry for my head being away. Okay, and let's take this fuel line off next, like so. I'll try and keep that upright if I can, because I don't want anything to escape from there, so I want to check it, so that's fine. Okay, got the carburetor off, and oh dear, it's looking a bit messy in there, mouldy, so we've got water in there. Let's put this in a tray, take it apart and see what that looks like. Okay, so I've got my tray, bits and pieces, a little sneaky cup of coffee. Let's put my gloves on and let's get cracking. Let's see what we can't find out. Let's give it a bit of a clean first, so we know what we've got. Once we open this carburetor up, that's better. Okay, so we've got a purge bowl here, so you can release fuel down into a carburetor to overflow it. Let's get a 10mm on there. Could be a 10. No. 12. Not 12, might be a 3/8. Oh, 7/16 then. Okay, 7/16. Go on. Let's just undo that. If it'll let me without breaking anything. There it goes. We've got water coming out in the tray there. Look. That's not been removed for a little while. So gentle tap just to persuade it to come off. Nothing too strenuous. The O-ring's in place, which is good. And we've got lots of water, a bit of corrosion in there. We've got a main jet to take out. This whole carburetor is just full of water, absolutely full of it. I've got a main jet just inside there. That's what I want to try and get out next if it'll come. I really don't want to. It looks like someone else has been in there. Really don't want to mess that up. Okay, let me get a slightly bigger screwdriver, because you can see someone's been in there before, so I just want to make sure I can get it out in one hit. Okay, so I've got a slightly wider screwdriver, and that'll fit better in the jets if it goes in there at all. Yeah, it's going to come. So because it's been in a while, I'm just going to ease it backwards and forwards, because the threads are not the best. So I literally just want to bring that out nice and gently. It's coming though. Yeah, it can't. Oh no, a few more there. Yeah, this has not been out for an age, but she's coming. Nearly there. did shoot some spray down there as well, just very quickly. Oh, look at that. Have a little look. That's lovely. So it's an emulsion tube and jet in one. And as you can see, I don't know if you can pick that up, the hole inside here, that's also plugged, so that's going to need cleaning out also. What I'm going to do is pour a bit of neat petrol into my magnet tray, and that can just sit in there and just soak up just for a little while. And then I'll get on cleaning the rest of the carburetor. That's now having a little bath. I'm just spinning around a smidge so you get a bit more straighter on. That's now having this little tiny bath, just to soak. I then want to move this little tiny pin out the back of the float chamber. I dare say that hasn't been out for a while. Oh, it's coming. A little pair of long nose snips would help loads. Let's just remove that little pin. Okay, that's lovely. That too can go in there. Then we're going to remove the float itself and the needle. That can go in there, that can go in there. So that leaves us just with the carburetor itself. I'm going to remove this nut here for fuel intake. Make sure that's all clear. I'm then going to undo this screw here. It's got another jet inside it. But before we take that one out, what's important is to make sure you know where it sits. So this one, you tend to screw them in first so you know how far it is. So that's where it is tight and you screw it in. So we're going to go 1/2 turn. So that's 3/4 of a turn. So that was 1/2 turn and that was back. So yeah, it's 3/4 of a turn. So that can now come out. So when you put it back in, you wind it in tight, then come back 3/4 of a turn. Take that out as well. That's another jet inside there, so he can come out. Yeah, that's mucky. That's all good. That's one good clean. So now I'm just going to blast all this stuff through with my carburetor cleaner, WD-40, and with my air compressor. Give it a good clean off. Somehow this air filter system must come off. I'm seeing some bolts or some screws behind there, so that metal gauze must come out. So I'm trying to get the metal gauze out, remove this whole system, and then give us a good clean. Okay, so I'm making some slow progress. I've managed to clean the bottom of the bowl out. That's now all done. There's a bit of corrosion in the corner, but it's much cleaner than what it was. I've managed to get the air filter cover off as well, and also the main jet. I've now cleaned the hole out through. If you're going to get that, just about there it is. Yeah, you can see it. So that's all ever cleaned out. There's also a little tiny hole just up the top corner here, which I managed to get as well. So all that's been clear. So that's good. I've got to just continue these other little jets and bits and pieces of float, clean it all up, and then continue cleaning the main carburetor itself. Okay, I had to pop out to go and get some carburetor cleaner because literally just ran out, which is most inconvenient. But as you can see, this is what was in the bottom of a carburetor. All that lovely silt, bits of grass, and the petrol's gone really milky now, so that's shocking. I'm now giving this a darn good clean with carburetor cleaner. Just be careful carburetor cleaner, because it does make these washers expand, so always use very little, but often keep wiping it off and spray it with WD-40 afterwards. So this carburetor now is 95% cleaner than what it was, so I'm happy with that. Just literally want to give these pieces here just a quick blasting over. So in particular the main jet, just want to get some carburetor cleaner into there. That's it, drop it in the dirty fuel. Go through all the holes, and then block a few holes up just to encourage it to go out of other holes. Where's that one on the top? There it is, just not running out of there. Let's put it down into there. There it goes. Okay, so that's that main jet done. The other one actually isn't a jet. One I had earlier on, this is just a needle, so that's okay. Just want to give the float mechanism a shot of spray, and then just the needle just hiding just there. Just give that a spray as well. Okay, so that's now a carburetor all nice and clean. I'm now going to clean my hands off, put some new gloves on, because this carburetor spray eats these gloves, makes them brittle, and then we'll start to reassemble this carburetor. Right, let's get into it. So first things first, I want to reassemble the float and the needle, and the float just sits underneath this little tiny pin just here. It just sits in that little tiny groove that's made for it. Just slide that in. Doesn't want to go, but it will. Like that. With that in place, that just sits in its little tiny channel. Just like so. Make sure it's in. And then we want that little tiny pin. There it is. And that just goes through the 2 holes at the back. Line it all up and just encourage that in place. Like so. Lovely. That's that bit done. I now want to introduce the main jet, which has been cleaned. Yeah, there's no dirt in there. And that just goes into the main jet housing. Start to screw it in. As I say, just go easy with these. Because if you break these, then we're looking for another carburetor. So just take your time. If it starts to bite, just back it off. That's going in quite nice. It just caught just then, but it's loosened up again. So that's the emulsion tube put back in. Just snug it in gently. As I say, no need to go crazy with that. With that done, we can now put on the main bowl and then the nut to follow. Screw that on. And back that up with your socket set. That was a 7/16, I think it was. And just snug that in. Again, don't go over tight with these because you'll break the emulsion tube channel. And then again, looking for another carburetor. Next thing to do is put this little needle in. But I had a little tiny spring that sat on top of that. It goes into there. And then work that in tight. So that goes all the way in, and then we've got to back it off 3/4 of a turn. So that's tight. So we want to go 1/4. 1/2 turn, and that's where it lived. So that carburetor is now complete again. I'm gonna leave the air filter cover off for now, just because I want to be able to manually see the choke go on and off. So now we're going to fit this carburetor back to the machine. Okay. Right, so the carburetor is now fitted. It's just those 2 10mm bolts that hold it on, and don't forget to replace the linkage. Next thing I want to do, I just want to remove the fuel tank. I've already stopped the rest of the fluid coming out with a set of forceps. Just one screw here, that tank should then drop off, and I want to just see what's inside that tank and give it a flush. Okay, I've now got the tank off. Let's remove the forceps. And then just release what's left. Take the fuel cap off. Okay, there's so much gunk in the bottom of here, hard to tell. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the forceps back on, put some fresh fuel and give it a good swill around, and then disconnect this pipe off of here, and then just run it straight out of the tank. Right, that's the tank flushed, and as you can see just here, we've got water in the tank, here and here, and then whatever that is, that just come out right at the end. So we've got a little bit of something there, congealed grass or something in there, so some other bits and pieces all within, so that's good to get that done anyway. I'm now going to refit this tank back. Okay, so that's all now fitted. Fuel tank's on, I put the spark plug back in and HT lead. I'm just going to touch the bottom of the carburetor, and that just allows some fuel to come down through, which it has done already. So that's now filled the bowl up with fuel. Maybe a mess there. So I'm going to leave the air filter off because I want to make sure that this choke is actually working. And which way around it says back for choke, forward 4 off and then in between for half. So let's choke it. Let me check the oil. Really hoping this is going to fire up. Yeah, that oil is fantastic. It doesn't look black, it's like a nice greyish colour. Let's double check it. So this mower cost me nothing, and they go for about anywhere between about £100 to about £150. So that's that done. Right, let's go for it. Let's fire it up. Okay, here we go then. So once I try and get it started, then I'm going to try and engage the drive and the roll at the same time, just to make sure everything is working, and then depending on how and if it fires up, it would be dependent whether I have to stop it straight away or whatever. But let's give it a go. A bit of choke. All them wires are on, yeah. Ooh. Hang on, I've got that. That's on stop. Let's put that up to about there. Choke, let's choke on. Yeah. A bit more revs. Okay, so it runs. The blades are going round, but there's a bit of a racket coming from this end somewhere. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It might just need adjusting. The drive did cut in as well, but I don't want to be running it too much if there's a problem with the blades. So there is adjustments to be made here. I need to make sure it's not striking. Yeah, it sounds like it's striking something just there. So I need to make a few adjustments just there. But that's brilliant. So it did sound it was starting to hunt, but if you remember, that spring wasn't on correctly on the back, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with that yet. But let's see if we can fire up again. This time I won't cut in the blades though. It's on half choke. We're getting a few sparks coming out of the exhaust, so I just want to make sure I put the air filter on, and then what I do is I just let it run, let it do its thing, and it's either going to blow up or keep going. Okay, so I had to come indoors because the wind really picked up and you would never have heard me. So how fantastic was that? This mower is now up and running, and it'll be forming those lovely stripes up and down the lawns very, very soon. I'm going to be doing an oil change and new air filter on this mower, but I'm not going to invest any more in it until I get that blade issue sorted out. The blades are working, but they're striking something. The drive is working, but as soon as you cut the drive in, then the blades tend to over oscillate, if you like. But anyway, it's a fantastic fix, and hopefully we'll be able to turn this mower around for a little bit of profit. That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Mixed Mowers, and I'll see you again very, very soon.
Do you feel the vibes?